Hello, and welcome back to the PatricksGreenTea podcast. It feels good saying that again. The last episode of this podcast was released 3.5 months ago, and while I needed a long break to attend to stuff behind the scenes, I'm definitely ready to bring the show back for its third season. A lot has happened since last time. 4 new guests have come onto the podcast, and even more are in the works. I've been sitting on these audio files, eagerly waiting to share them with you guys, and now the ball is definitely rolling. I wanted to shout out the first person to leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts. It was so cool to hear back from an enjoyer of Patrick's Green Tea, and to hear that they're as excited for the new season as I am is a real treat. If you have something to say about the podcast, leave a review to help me know whether things should change a bit or whether you're enjoying the ride so far. This one has been a long time coming. The Minecraft world I've been working on since January is uploaded to the website. For newcomers to the show, this is a world where I've fleshed out a whole civilization that operates with futuristic and trans-dimensional technology. I also just build random cool shit too. If that seems like your thing, head on over to PatricksGreenTea.com and go to the Minecraft tab. There's been something added to the podcast that I've been thinking about for a few months. You're about to hear it after this prologue. Working on it was holding me back a bit from getting to work on this episode, so I just left it the way it is. In the future, expect some funky variations with different instruments. I'm pretty much giving it away at this point, but I think you'll like the surprise. That's it, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello. This is First, I'll start with the date. This is the 13th of January, 2021. I believe this is the first podcast of the year and of the season, once that comes out, which should be soon. I just took 2 inhales of a sativa dab cart. 2 is like the bare minimum for me to feel like a fair high. I haven't really experimented with more than that, with at least these cartridges. But I know that when I do the same amount after the first high sort of wanes, then it's not really as effective, and I just get like a dull sort of buzz, and not really like a real intense high like usually happens. So yeah, I just took it. I'm not going to feel the actual kick until like 4 minutes from now. We're in a good place. You know, I've been really productive recently. I started exercising again finally. And by productive, I mean like mostly on the film and like trying to get a producer and stuff. And that's actually going well, you know. Except for, the producer part isn't. The editor part is. I have a lot of applicants, but that was sort of to be expected. Because there's so many editors, I think, out there. But producers, someone explained it to me once I started like talking about this, that producers actually get booked really quickly, and that's the reason why they're so scarce. But I guess it's just a matter of asking around. I mean, if a producer can be booked, can't an editor? Like, how many projects can an editor juggle at once? Either way, you guys are once again at my house. I haven't been high here while recording a podcast in a while. I was thinking about it because I was like, I remember being here another time. That was when I was in the shower. That was January 4th, 2019. So almost exactly 2 years ago. It feels like 2 years, but just the number 2019 doesn't feel like 2 years ago. But I'm sure it will. Because that was that was a crazy year. I remember being super excited to share the year with in the second season, and it was fun. I liked it. I wish there was more stuff recorded in audio form of my Colorado trip, but at the same time, I think the memories, like, I'll have the memories, and that's what most people can say they have of anything in their life, you know. I did write. I'm gonna remind you listeners, I have a periodically updated text log from when I was high but didn't want to record a podcast for whatever reason. It's on the website. that is listed at the end of this episode. I'm sure you guys know it by now. But anyway, I can't really walk around, which is a bummer. I could walk outside, I guess, maybe walk the dog. But you know what? I was probably gonna get high later today, but I wanted to record a podcast, and I was gonna go out and do like a walk, but my car is unavailable. I've been really productive this year on a completely new project. I don't remember when I started doing it, but it wasn't. I don't know. Might have been late December. I started doing a Minecraft world in the same style as this journal I have, which I might eventually upload to the website. I just had a blog too. I feel like that'd be cool. More people would watch that than basically a blog that's nested within a podcast website, you know. When I finish the 2020 season, I'm gonna just do a bunch of administrative stuff like that. Take a few weeks off and just there's a few tasks that I've been wanting to do that have piled up, and I think it's nice that I give myself a break after each season to do it, because during the season I don't want to do more work than I already do with the release of each episode. How are all of you doing? You should tweet me or write me about how you're doing, and then I'll give you internet points and tokens of appreciation for sure. At the end of this third season, I'm still wishing that there was more of a community around this show, though. I mean, like, I think I just have a false expectation based off of the podcasts I know, and obviously I'm not gonna know these tiny podcasts that don't really advertise. But so that'll be another thing for me to do when I'm in the season break, the set break. So I got a lot going on. Today I'm gonna watch a Q&A for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is a movie based on a song of the same name, where Ma Rainey, who is a really, really influential jazz singer from like 1923 or something, she goes to record an album with her band, and there's a bunch of dramatic tension between like the band members, especially this one guy played by Chadwick Boseman. I think it was his final performance of anything, which is really crazy. And he's like he has a lot of aspirations for what he wants to be as a jazz writer and composer. And this other guy, Cutter, is like the responsible sort of figure. He's also like really religious, while Cutter turns out to be like this. He like hates God because God like never did anything for him or his family. In fact, it feels like he was abandoned. It's really interesting, you know. His mom got attacked by all these white men. The whole band is black. I think it's safe to say that they're African American, you know. They were directly descended from slaves, and they all talked about it. It was so recent, you know. Only 60 years, I guess. So that was their experience. They were talking about that. And Ma Rainey was very, very like diva-ish. And she sort of at first I didn't like her attitude. I mean, like, it was good to watch, but she didn't seem like a good person based off of her like demand for like a Coca-Cola with her lunch, and pausing the whole recording of the song until she got her Coke. The whole movie was the style of a play, and I learned later that it was actually adapted straight from a play. You could just tell, and you know, from the first few minutes in that recording studio, I should say, in the basement where the band was sort of hanging out, just the way it was so dialogue based, and it didn't really feel like a traditional movie. But I mean, it was a movie, and there was a lot of very visual things they did, both in composition and just like how much they recreated the landscape of 1920s Chicago in the background, and with the costuming too. And the costume designer is going to be at this Q&A. She won a Tony, I think, and she won a bunch of, like, she was nominated for a bunch of Oscars and Emmys and Tonys. She's just this really prolific costume designer, but she's going to be there. I'm really excited about that. And my girlfriend, who was watching the movie with me, who's a big theater person, she is really excited about seeing that lady. But also, Viola Davis and Branford Marsalis, if any of you are friends of the podcast, you'll know him. He's going to be there too. Or they both are going to be there. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman were phenomenal in this movie, by the way. It's like especially phenomenal. They had really long monologues and just like these very minute facial expressions that were so intentional, but felt so natural to this like larger than life character that they were portraying. Especially Ma Rainey, she just seemed like a very interesting character and didn't look at all like Viola Davis usually looks. Ma Rainey had this like weird thick, like I don't know what you'd call it, mascara? No, eyeliner. It was like these two circles over her eyes that were just black and not perfect circles. She looked like, I don't know, so like she was in costume, which I mean like she basically was. But anyway, I guess to go back to that point, she was a diva because, and later she's explained this, that like, you know, she gets scammed all the time for her voice, and that's all that white people care about with her, just her voice. And as soon as she's done singing, they just turn off any sort of empathy towards her, or like veneer of empathy. And at the end of the movie, I shouldn't say what happens at the end. You guys should watch it. It's on Netflix. Basically, like this wasn't the major plot point at the end, but throughout the whole movie, the studio was ripping them off because of like contracts people didn't sign. But then also, I guess it was on the band's part that they didn't sign the contracts or whatever. It just became like a minor like argument at the end of the movie, but to prove the point that that all they cared about was their signatures and their money and all that, and not giving them certain amounts of money they agreed on, all this stuff. But it's really like you could see like the negotiations, who's on the back foot, but who has like the spine to get what they want out of the negotiation and not just like sell themselves short. It was a good movie. Branford Marsalis was the guy who did the score, which is awesome. I mean, I don't really remember the score, but I think the fact that he was involved with his like jazz history background, I think is really cool. Plus, like he's not his brother, Wynton. And sorry to Wynton Marsalis, but the way you were taught in my jazz class in college was that you're like a gatekeeper type dude. I mean, I would definitely love to like. It's probably never gonna happen, but if I had the opportunity to like sit down and have like a coffee or something with him, I'm sure I would hear him out as to like what his position on jazz history and new jazz is. Seems like he doesn't. My jazz professor told me that like that guy Wynton Marsalis doesn't really consider new forms of jazz as legitimate, and he's very like reverent towards the old jazz, whereas jazz's history has always been a story of rebellion against the previous generation. And you know, that's why it was born in African American culture, like that, like jazz, and that's sort of just like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want, I don't want to follow the norms of anything. And then you end up with people like Coltrane with his Mars album, whatever it was called, where it was just like 40 minutes of just wildness, just noise. And then my teacher would play that for like 10 minutes and he'd be like, yeah, this is this is amazing, this is beautiful, this is genius. I was like, dude, I mean, like, I probably need some like 4D chess type mind to be able to figure this out and like appreciate it, I guess, but I do not like I mean, I assume that it's good, you know, because he seems like much further into the whole jazz thing than I am. Like literally, like he goes to conferences and stuff, and he's a very successful teacher and academic. But either way, I'm excited for Brantford. He played sax for the Grateful Dead, and that's what I know him from, to be honest. But you know what? It's not the worst thing to be known for. That's all I know Bruce Hornsby by, or for, I should say. Just his time with the Grateful Dead. And I know he has a whole, that's just the way it is. And, you know, he has this whole shtick. My dad saw him in concert apparently with Bonnie Raitt, and it was like, he got to shake hands with Bonnie Raitt. That was like one of the coolest experiences of his life that he always talks about. But anyways, Bruce Hornsby, back to Brentford Marsalis. I'm excited. It's happening later today, which is awesome. And Viola Davis also was really good, like I said. I'm sure they're going to talk about Chadwick Boseman because, and they're probably going to have stories because he won't be there to represent himself, obviously. And he played such a huge role in the movie, I'm sure. You know, you could see, just from what you can see on screen, that's one thing. But his, like, personality and everything, I'm sure he seemed like a really amazing person. And, I don't know. No one really expected him to go so soon, which is really upsetting. And that's the case with a lot of people, you know. Man, you know what? Let's just dig right into this one. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast ever about death, because no one really wants to mention it, you know. But I want to go emo for a second. Maybe not emo, but like dark. I've never had a really close death to me. The one death that was closest to me, my uncle, sort of became this really weird relationship where, you know, having been non-spiritual all through high school, in college I started thinking that, you know, he was with me to some degree. I started opening myself up more to spirituality and like things that you don't know but still might not understand, which there's so much of. I really think just the way we perceive reality, and I mean this is a fact, that the way we perceive reality is such like a narrow sliver of it's such a narrow bandwidth of what we're actually experiencing, subconsciously or consciously. You know, even just our minds. Like, how do we go from the source code of the electricity happening in our brain to what a thought feels like? You know, you can't describe it. And just the way different species communicate and like have such complex ideas that they're able to instinctually like adhere to, like a bird's V shape. I don't know. There's a lot of philosophizing right now, but it's all good. Also, I'm gonna not ever try to call the title for the episode again, because when I did that with was it Police Presence? No, it was something like a few episodes before that. I wanted the freedom to be able to change it and not have to edit out that I said that, because then it'd be weird, and I'm sure you guys wouldn't care. And I'm sure, like, you know, there's only like 5 of you currently. I don't even think it's the same 5. Maybe it's the same 1 or 2. That'd be really cool. Whoever you are out there, one of you listening right now is a core follower. So I appreciate that. You know, we got steady numbers. So I really do appreciate it. Because if it was like a big spike in the beginning and then nothing at this point, I don't know if I continue it after this season. I mean, I would, because I'm a crazy person, and at the very least, like, even I recorded this for 2 years before releasing it, so at the very least, it's sort of like a way to record my thoughts in a neutral sense, even just for me, just for posterity, whatever. So back to that. I don't know how I would handle death. I think kind of scared about that, because there's so many people at this point that I'm really good friends with, and like, you know, death is an inevitability that no one wants to admit, but because it's just really scary, but it is. And I don't know. I'm sure I'll let you guys know if anything major happens. And we'll go from there. I mean, like, because I think I would probably want to process it with you guys, if that's okay with you. Maybe not. I won't like just make the podcast about that, but I'm sure I'll like bring it up in one little segment like this has turned out to be. That's it. We can resume and return to our regularly scheduled programming. I've been looking through my bookmarks on my like browser, and it's been really fun. I haven't really done it much. I just did it last night because I was bored and like tipsy. And there's no real good activity I found is worthwhile while you're tipsy, when you're alone. But it was good, you know. I found some interesting stuff. There was like a bunch of I found an Iraq War research paper that I wrote that I have no memory of, so I probably really enjoyed it. But either way, it was fun to skim, but I wasn't in the mood to read a Iraq War research paper. But I just wanted to like make that a little segment here about just going through the bookmarks. It's weird because I started using Opera instead of Chrome, and I don't know how to transfer the bookmarks back. I would want to make a backup of the Chrome one, and then I think you can export it into like some weird file type. But anyway, no one wants to hear tech jargon on this podcast. It's about weed. My water bottle's open. Oh, it's because I want to drink from it. Hang on one sec. I have graph paper on this bookmark list. And it says the website is frozen. Yeah, a lot of these links don't work, which is so strange. Although it has been like 7 years since I bookmarked these. So, I mean, a lot of these websites are so obscure. I mean, the one I'm looking at are just like textbook website links. I have Arrowhead on here. That's a new one. Something about legal weed, Delta 8 THC. These are all new, because I remember these very well. Arrowhead's interesting. I don't think it's like super helpful, but you know. All right, what is this? All right, I'm gonna get rid of this bookmark. It's just a class notes that I took. All right, not super entertaining. I'm gonna move on. From what I remember, let's just go over some like internet history with me. Some good old-fashioned personal anthology of my life on the internet. A lot of what I remember, and a lot of what my time was spent on was video games. So I would say that that's been my biggest experience, though they haven't really been online. I'm really more of a single player person. I think it's just my like introverted, personality that I prefer like just a more, exploring something in a neutral space that like my brain has a full capacity to process and isn't thinking about social norms or anything. And the story just hits you. But multiplayer is fun because you're with other people. So I've done some of that recently because I've had friends to do it with. But I guess none of my friends were really big video game players back in the day. And the one big PC builder type dude that I know and knew in high school, he was also an introvert, so it didn't really work out. We literally... Yeah, I can't talk today. We would literally go to his house, even if it was just me. And what ended up happening is that we just play on his computer while like everyone else watched. It was so like, because I guess he was the only one with a really great computer among us. I mean, we had some decent ones, but he had like a monster. He had like the most expensive kind of that time. All right, maybe not the most expensive, but probably like a 1,400 or like a 2,000 maybe dollar computer. And he just sells them after a while. He just goes through them. He's like a car guy, but with computers. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how he does it. If he just keeps the hard drives or what. I feel like you have to reconfigure a bunch of stuff, and it's not worth it. Unless he just keeps opting for like the biggest, best thing. I don't know. I've talked to him about this, I think, but I still never really got answers on it. And that friend also is, Luca. Got a lot of musical inspiration from him, and we had a bit of like a year gap where we had a big falling out, but we came back from it. Just kind of independently evolved, and then when we came back, we just agreed to not, that everything was forgiven, and try to tread new ground. So that wasn't really internet history with me, but that was my hip just cracked. The body's weird, man. I recorded a podcast with my friend from New York, and he released it. That's really exciting. I think it was my first podcast appearance in the flesh. It's good stuff. Actually, no, that's not true. We recorded it. I don't know if I said we released it, but we did not release it. He didn't, at least. It's his show. He's doing like a more editing focused thing, visual, and like gags and stuff go on, but like it's a completely different style. But it was good. It was fun. We had a pretty good conversation. It was actually pretty enjoyable. It was nice to just have a one-on-one thing with no distractions and just like the show must go on basically, but for a conversation, that's so cool. We really treaded some ground there. I'm gonna keep saying that. This sativa is good for podcasting, I think. Keeps the brain going, which is nice. I'm literally looking at a home screen for my desktop right now. I should I don't know what to look at or do. This might be a shorter one. Who knows? I think we're approaching 20 minutes. No, we're on 30 minutes. Wow. That's a good length. I think I might start wrapping up, but not wrap it up yet. This whole few weeks... Oh, I didn't even talk about the whole Capitol insurrection because it's been a while since I recorded a podcast. Yeah. I mean, at this point in time, Donald Trump was not impeached, but Mitch McConnell, and who is the... Oh, God. He's not the speaker. He's like the Republican minority leader in the Senate, I'm pretty sure. Did we vote for Congress? I think we vote for Congress locally. Yeah, like your congressperson is the person who represents your state. And the Senate, God, I don't know. They both represent your state. But I think you just vote. I don't know. A big character flaw of Patrick GreenTea is my last name, in case you're wondering. A big character flaw of mine is that I have never taken a civics course. And I've never taken a physics course either. So civics and physics. That's those are my Achilles tendons. My Achilles heels, I should say. It was a really weird way to say the metaphor analogy thing. So civics, there was an AP government class that was like would have been my first AP anything, and I felt like I wasn't ready for it. I just wanted to relax for at least another year, which paid off in the end because I became I had a really high class rank at the end of the whole thing, the whole shebang. My chair is really loud. My burp was really loud. But the end of the No, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, civics. I didn't. So I don't really know what the difference is between the Senate and the Congress. I know the difference, I guess, the literal difference, but I don't know which is which. I forget details and stuff because I never had to like write a paper about it. But I think I should take like a civics course, like a Khan Academy civics course, and like have those mini quizzes that don't really mean anything and you're not doing it for a grade. Khan Academy would be really cool in general, you know? I always thought there would be a good supplement to school, but I never really thought that it'd be like a permanent free school. Well, maybe permanent isn't the word, but after you graduate, it's always there, supposedly. So civics is on my list. Make sure you write this down, Patrick, in the future, editing this. And all of you should know it if you're from the U.S. If you're not from the U.S., it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't say. Like, I don't know anything about the UK Parliament, except that the fact that there's a bunch of parties represented. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if the people like it. I'm assuming they do. That you get some, like, fringe parties in there. But everyone feels represented. But I'm sure there's a lot of gridlock there too. But you know, there's also gridlock here where it's just split 50-50 based off of gerrymandering and stuff in terms of the Congress. God, what is this? So, okay, House Representatives and Congress, and then them together are the what? Or is it the Senate and the other thing is the Congress? Dude, I don't know. But you know what I do know? Another project I didn't... I guess so, yeah. Did I mention... I'm just going to say it again. You know what? If you're stuck around this long, you're a true hero of the podcast. You would forgive me. Minecraft. I started playing Minecraft recently, and I made a world... Oh, yeah, okay, I got to that point. I said I got to the world that's, like, mimicking my journal that I do. Anyway, just to complete that thought, that world was sort of like me messing around, just building random stuff. Like I rebuilt the gravity bong that I mentioned in the police presence episode. And you know what? It was fun. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait. I updated to the new Minecraft, and there was all these blocks available, and they just like got my creative juices flowing, which is a really weird sentence, you know, when you really think about it, but it got me really amped and got me really inspired with all the new types of wood and all that, and stone. I was like, dude, let's get to work. So I'm world building a whole town, and in this town there are the Alvox, who are people of another dimension that is not in Minecraft. The people of Holn, Holn. Also, Alvox could be Alvo. I haven't decided on that yet. But the people of Holn were escaping a war in the West, and they decided to settle in Sweetwater. So I think they're like the immigrants, I guess. The Alvo sort of like claimed the land first, but they're I haven't figured out what their culture is. But they're like aliens basically. So I'm excited to just sort of like flesh that out. But I'm assuming they're really peaceful. And I'm also assuming they're, for some reason, I don't know why my brain always goes to this, it's like a utopia type thing where it's like a socialist or maybe more like a communist utopia, where there's like a very small number, like it's kind of an oligarchy in a way, but I still have to figure out who the leaders are. But they're basically maybe it'd be like they're led by this like unimind that they commune with. And they don't really have one leader, like an ant colony. There might be like regional queens or something, but I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But I know that they have like a unimind type thing. I built a tower where they go in and then it's like a beacon, but I didn't know you could actually change the color of Minecraft beacons. So it's now this purple like shoot of light going through this tower off the side of a cliff. And they have a lot of like colonies in the end dimension, which some of them are like ruined because and I haven't implemented this yet, but I will. It's like a dark order of Alvox, like wizards, like wizard engineers that want to break off and don't want the rules of the Unimind or whatever, and are following some other entity that's in the multiverse that they talk to, or that like talks to them or something. The important part of this whole thing is that eventually I'm going to upload this world into Minecraft, into the website, and I will just have you guys check it out if you want to, and I will constantly update it, so it'll be the most recent version of things, and that'll be super exciting. Yeah, I think I'm building it with the intention of people seeing it. I think the Minecraft community, if I like make the post correctly, would also love it, and maybe follow me on something. I don't know, especially if I put it on the podcast website. But I don't know if you're allowed to share websites like that. But either way, I'm gonna go return to my Minecraft world. I'm probably gonna build a. I don't know. I've been really focused on this like town and this like civilization, I guess. Like I might just I kind of there's so much in my head that I want to build and stuff that I don't really want to return to just like fucking around for a while. It's like writing a book or something, but it's all gonna be worth it. I really enjoy doing it. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me in my abode, my humble abode. I appreciate it. I don't know. Now I have a bunch of titles I can call this, and Patrick from the future is going to be happy, I'm sure. Alright, everyone. Here's the deal. I'm going to go, but you're going to have a good day. You might even listen to the next episode, which hasn't even been recorded yet. And then, I don't know. I want you all to have a lovely rest of your day, as I say, at the end of every episode. And I mean it. You better do it, or else the big green man is going to get you. Alright, goodbye, children. Goodbye, little ones. Hello. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find me at PatricksGreenTea on Patreon, Discord, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Bandcamp, Patrick's Green Tea Podcast on Instagram, and Patrick Green Tea without an S on Twitter. If you donate at least $5 a month on Patreon, you'll get exclusive access to the Drunk Patrick Chronicles. The show is available wherever you get your podcasts. Supplemental materials like photos and text are available on our website, PatricksGreenTea.com. You can join our subreddit at r/PatricksGreenTea. You can make comments on YouTube and on the website, and you can contact me directly at PatricksGreenTea@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave a review of the show on your favorite podcasting platform. It really helps us out. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.